Imagine having a rich dad guide and mentor you. This is the guide to getting rich. What I learned from my rich dad. My name is Gary Wong from GaryWongRealty.com. I'm the author of the book on Vancouver real estate. Today, once again, I'm here with my business partner, VIP client, and great friend, Peter Young. Welcome to the show again.
Thank you, Gary.
And we've been talking and shooting a series of videos on wealth and money. Today, we're going to be talking about the guide to getting rich, what I learned from my rich dad. So Peter, how I grew up with my parents, my dad was like, you got to be a doctor, lawyer, an accountant. Don't be an entrepreneur. Don't take risks. You want that steady paycheck. And he showed by work ethic, worked really hard. He worked 2 jobs. But, you know, he made it well. He became somewhat well off, but he didn't get rich in today's terms. What was it like for you?
Well, I grew up, my parents worked really hard. My dad was willing to commit all his time, and that was the thing. I learned that very early on, I don't really want to do what he did, right? He worked really hard, and he was able to provide for our family, you know, the basic means and be able to get us through, you know, my elementary, my secondary, and having immigrated over here. So he worked really hard, and that was the first thing to me. I understand hard work. But that also came at a disadvantage because all I knew was how to work really hard. And for a long time, I didn't understand how to let my money work for me, right? It was always about me, and how I could work. But, you know, that's where the inspirations of Rich Dad, Rich Dad, Poor Dad from Robert Kiyosaki has really inspired me. But at the same time, I really have to acknowledge the people around me. You know, how do they invest or what do they do with their money, right? And because we didn't come from a very, you know, well-off family, we learned how we need to watch our dimes and cents. But moving from that, it wasn't just the basics of habit. It was also how to build a successful habit, how to actually modify. What do the wealthy people do? They attend a lot of courses. They get inspired by other people.
I see that. And what do the poor typically do? Or not, let's not call them poor, but what do the middle class do? What kind of habits do they have that are perhaps hindering them from taking their life to the next level?
Well, a lot of it, again, is going back to saving, right? There's always more, always seems to be more days than paychecks, right? And in my time, I've worked with a lot of clients, quote unquote, that, you know, have good jobs, you know, doctors, lawyers, attorneys, but they're not saving. They're getting that lifestyle. They're enjoying the lifestyle. But for me, when I've been taught, when I've been inspired, whether it's coaching, courses, mentorships, or whether the people around me, they're all talking about intergenerational wealth. They're talking about how can I pass on my wealth to the next generations. Or in Chinese, we talk about how money does not transfer from generation to generation. So it's always been a passion of mine to actually go, how do I do it, right? What can I do? What do these people build a habit on? And some of the people that have jobs, we're trained a certain way. It's not that they don't want to be financially wealthy, Gary. It's the fact that they've never been taught, right? In school, like I say, you know, we've been taught, sit down, shut up, and listen. Right? In the real world, if you had your job and you just sit down, shut up, and listen, how far would you get?
Not very far.
Right? So it is very imperative that we look at what the people do. You know, we look for opportunity, ask a lot of questions, right?
Is that one of the habits that the rich have? Ask a lot of questions.
If you don't know, you don't know, right? And it's okay to not know.
So most people would just be like, shut up, and they don't ask questions.
Yeah, they would just, you know, that's nothing to do with me, and they walk away. Right? And I have these conversations with people, and sometimes you find it very, very interesting. I mean, it's the wealthy that actually want to keep prying. Well, how does this work? How does that work? Well, what do you see in this? What's your view on this? But there's a lot of people who just go, well, that has nothing to do with me, and end of conversation.
So you learned hard work from your parents. What else did you learn?
Well, I learned that I have to let my money work harder for me, right? The power of compounding. And to me, work ethic, no matter how many hours we can work a day, we can't exceed 24 because that's all we have, right? We only have 24 hours in a day, but our money, when you get $1 deployed, right, next year that dollar has kids, right? So now you have $1.10, and the $1.10 has kids, you have grandkids. So it's imperative that our money continues to work for us, right? So I put money away. I still to this day religiously put money away. I also have a spend fund. I make sure that I'm spending. I have a little bit of a fund that I just go, this is what I go enjoy with, right? These are my shoe fund. This is my, and I have a shoe fund. So it's imperative that we develop those habits. But first and foremost, you know, people talk about, you know, pay yourself first, or, you know, make sure that you have money stashed away. At the end of the day, I mean, there's rules of thumbs. The key, absolute key, is just make sure you're saving, right? It all starts with that. And if you don't have money saving and you don't have assets working for you, not liabilities, I don't mean the cars. I don't, you know, I love cars too, but I don't have that beautiful car where I'm going, wow, I'm paying into the car each and every month and it's a liability, right? So decipher what those assets are, what liabilities truly are, right? Instead, most people end up buying a really expensive liability.
So Peter, I hear what you're saying, and I just can't, I can see how many people are thinking, well, that's great for you, that's easy for you, Peter, but you know, my 9-to-5 job just doesn't pay me enough where I can save. What do I do?
Well, that's where you got to start learning, right? There is no, you know, if you're 9-to-5 today and you're working what you're doing, you'll keep getting what you're getting. There is just not, there is no way out unless you choose to change that, right? And it's imperative to understand, you know, if you have that 9-to-5, there is no get rich quick. A lot of people go, oh, you can do this, you can trade this, and now you can make a ton of money. For those people who goes, oh yeah, trade this and you make a ton of money, I always tell them, well, heck, I mean, why would you ever teach me, right? But the success principles, those transpire, right? Those are the people I want to be with. They're not just clients of mine. They're not people I invest with or invest for. They're people that I consider part of the team. Okay, what can we do? What type of opportunities do you see? Where are you investing? How do we do this together? How can we join venture? How can we explore opportunities that otherwise I would have no access to? And you'll be very surprised how many of those people, you know, have great ideas or have great investment opportunities that I want to be a part of, right? And that's where we do our due diligence. That's where we go study. That's where the hard work comes in. But for those who are 9-to-5, the reality is you have to learn. You have to get out of your comfort. You have to actually take that time to go, you know what, I'm willing to put in that extra half hour. I'm willing to look at that extra hour of work to look at markets, whether it's in stocks, all right, whether it's in you know, bonds, where, you know, essentially there is just a little bit of learning and you can have that deployed. Or people talk about robotic investing. You know, we talk about robotic investing or ETFs once upon a time.
The vehicles are endless, basically.
Yes, there is so many ways for you to invest.
Basically, have another source of income, but instead of getting a second part-time job, use that time to invest in learning, invest in themselves.
You do, and we all have weekends, right? We all have, you know, some of those days we do, and I make it religious that I take at least one course outside of my city every year, right? And that's something I live by.
So the habits of the rich include continuous learning. Is that what you're
Absolutely.
Hearing? Continuous learning plus hard work and working smart, not hard.
Absolutely.
Because most people think, well, if I just work 16 hours a day, if I get overtime, if I get double overtime, triple overtime, then I'll get wealth. But that's not the case.
No, you'll get more money. You won't have more wealth, right? So it's hugely important to understand that there is a difference between high income and high wealth, right? Because having that wealth, it will just continuously work for you, whether you like it or not. And be passionate about it. For me, I'm absolutely passionate about wealth because I want to learn how my kids are going to be better. It has the more opportunity. So in our family, we talk about how to have opportunity, right? Why do we want more money? It's not because, you know, we'll eat 3 times the amount of food. It's not really that we care for that much more things in our life. But what we care about is the opportunities. I want to teach my kids, you know, we want to talk about Egypt, let's go fly to Egypt. That's what I want. That's what I want for our family. And having that opportunity, having that choice, right? You have to be inspired at the grassroots level. Why do you want to build this wealth?
So the question is, have the right habits, change the habits, and then asking yourself the why question.
Absolutely, that's hugely important.
It's not
too.
working hard, but working smart. And it's not about getting another part-time job, but it's about investing in yourself and studying courses and learning about what you don't know, asking questions, which most people don't. Where the typical middle class is like, oh, well, I need more money, so I'll get a part-time job. I don't like to study, so I will just use that extra time to play and relax and veg out. And it's about saving, always putting something into your savings. Whether it's, for those who go, oh, well, Peter, I only have $50 to save every paycheck. Well, what do you say to that? And then they talk to themselves into like, well, it's only $50, so I might as well spend it anyways. What do you say to that?
Well, here's what I'll say. I've had in my time lawyers, attorneys, I have had doctors and dentists that save only $25 a month, right? You know, it all starts with a habit, because and a lot of people go, oh yeah, once you get used to it, you're not going to see it. Well, the reality is, once it comes off the top, it doesn't bother you anymore, right? You live with, you sort of adjust
yes.
according to that lifestyle. But that's why it's so imperative to get that, get the motion, not just sometimes the habit. It's easy to build a habit. Well, what does that really mean? It means that you need to make that commitment. And the more money that you start earning, or the more that your business starts developing, you'll end up doing more, because you love it more. You're like, oh, it's growing. I want to do more. And as you know, that's the passion cycle, right? You know, you love something, and there you do well at it. And when you do well at it, you love it more.
Speaking of passion cycle, I really agree with what you're saying. A lot of the golden nuggets. One of the key principles that I tell myself and tell my clients, you know, start with little. Be faithful with the little, and you'll be faithful with more. So like you're saying, start saving $25 a month, $50 a month, $100, because that little incremental savings adds up. And then you can start with, in terms of your habits, same thing. Start with small habit changes and then build upon that.
But you got to start with why. You got to understand, you know, not the hocus pocus of why, but really, what is this? What are you after, right? What does having more money mean? Is this really important to you, right? And for me, it is, because without understanding that, you're not going to achieve those results. You're always going to be like, wow, let's just do something else.
I think that's very fundamental, because most people, they do things, but they don't know why they're doing it. And then later they lose the motivation, and they don't know why. It's because they never had that conversation with themselves. Why are they doing this? And then with that, it's also part of doing their own due diligence. Start with a foundation, change the small habits, start saving, start asking yourself why, maybe have some goals, and then just build upon that.
Absolutely.
So I know you're getting tons of value and you're learning a lot about wealth and money. We'll share more in the next video, so stay tuned. Thank you for watching my video. Tell me what you liked about it. Comment below. And if you haven't done so already, subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you'll be notified of future videos. And if you want to learn more about real estate, click the videos over here.